Finally, the first big update has dropped for Ravenswatch. Nightmares Unleashed 1.1.0 patch is here, bringing new bosses, enemies and activities and a fresh wave of chaos to Reverie. Let's break it all down so you know exactly what's new before you jump back into the fight. Firstly, major gameplay changes. Let's talk about the Master Nightmares. These bosses now have completely new attack patterns, giving more variety and just to be not as predictable, meaning more interesting fights at least for a while, until we learn the patterns of course. But each boss does pick a random pattern, so no more muscle memory fights. Get ready for a few surprises. The Tentacle Nightmare Dark Hills boss has 3 new patterns, the Faceless Nightmare Storm Island boss has 4 new patterns, and the Claws Nightmare Avalon boss has 5 new patterns. I think this is a massively welcome one because these bosses had become so predictable and, to be honest, some of the easier fights in the game because of it. They've also added a couple of new mini bosses into the mix. We've got the Abu al-Jan, the Ancestor of all Jinns, haunting Storm Island, and we have Melian, King Arthur's knight-turned-werewolf, prowling Avalon. Both are going to test your skills with unique attack styles. And there's one final enemy that they've added to the game called the Cultist Summoner. Watch out for this guy because he spawns Master Nightmare minions, such as the tentacles of the first Tentacle Nightmare boss. And he's extra dangerous during blood rituals, a high-risk battle event. I've come across this guy a few times and he's very interesting to fight. It's a really nice addition. Just a quick note to say please drop me a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like this style of content. It's much appreciated. It will really support me get to that 1,000 subscribers. Next up, we've got new activities and points of interest. So they've added a few different things that you can come across during your chapters. The first of which is the blood ritual, where you need to survive 2 waves of enemies for big rewards. You will actually get 2 keys if you succeed in this challenge. All you have to do is survive these 2 waves of enemies without falling at death's door. If you do die, you can actually run it again, but you'll have to run it again from the start. So if you die during the first wave, you'll have to restart from the beginning. Only one of these blood rituals can spawn per chapter, worth noting. The second new addition is the Sacrificial Idols, where you trade some of your health for a damage buff. This is a fairly straightforward addition, but it is worth noting you're not trading away your maximum health, just your current health. So if you're low on health, it may kill you, but also if you're high on health, you can always get that health back. So it's pretty much a no-brainer just to take that flat damage boost. Multiple sacrificial idols can also spawn per chapter, so you can really try and leverage these as much as possible. Next up, you've got the Astral Shrines. Now these give you a few different choices. You've got the Vision of Fate, which gives you a choice of Stars of Fate and rerolls. You've got the Vision of Renewal, which allows you to relearn all of your talents except your starting one, but you have a 25% increased chance to get a higher quality. Or at least it was 25% when I found it. Whether that changes, I'm not 100% sure yet. This is an interesting one to take because if you get it later on in the game when you've got a load of legendaries, I'm not necessarily sure it's always worth taking. I would say this is very much a risk reward. I have tried it out once. I didn't have a particularly good build at the time, so it kind of worked out for me. However, pick your battles. And then lastly, you've got the Vision of Enlightenment, which upgrades a random talent. I think this is just a flat boost. If you don't like either of the 2 other options, you may as well go for this one. And again, you can only get 1 Astral Shrine per chapter. So you're not going to find multiples of this to be able to try and do that renewal multiple times to get what you want. Next up, you've got the Refugees, which are basically some NPCs you can help or loot. You'll find them in small groups typically, however you can find them dead scattered around as well. These just give you small additional boosts and buffs. I don't think these are huge addition to the game, if I'm honest. I didn't find the boosts that they gave to be that rewarding. And then lastly, you have the locked chests. Now, earlier on during the blood rituals, I said that you get 2 keys for it. So they've tried to make keys much easier to find. They actually appear on the maps now. And the locked chests are another place you can use these keys. I really think these locked chests are a great addition to the game because what they give is a double up of a talent. So you'll be able to choose a talent or item but you'll get twice the amount of it. Meaning if you've got those boosts where you need to get 3, 4 or 5 of the same item in order to unlock a bonus from that item, this is going to increase your chances of doing so because it gives you 2 of them. It is worth noting, if you want to re-roll the rewards on this, it will also take 2 stars of fate, which makes perfect sense. Every chapter can have only 1 chest. You're not going to find too many of these. They are worth looking out for. Very quickly, popping up on screen, you can see all the different points of interest icons so you know what you're looking out for. Next up, we've got some balance changes and hero updates. So one of the big ones is the Nightmare Tumors, which have been nerfed slightly, I suppose. Before, you used to be able to find 2 per chapter, and each one would reduce the boss's HP by 20%. However, now you can only find 1 per chapter, but it does reduce it by 30%. So overall, it's a 10% reduction, but it's less of a grind to get there. I'm kind of a bit unsure on this one. I would say I prefer this because it means there's more room for different points of interest, but please give me your comments on what you think of this one. So the heroes that received a buff, we've got Beowulf, whose ultimate now grants 2 tangible for the entire duration, as well as a 60% damage boost, which is quite big because I think his ultimate wasn't that powerful. And then a hero that I think really needed a boost was Camilla. Camilla now has an increased blood generation from a full attack combo to 12 from 8. Her power cooldown is set at 8 instead of 10, and the set health draining when consuming blood without actual blood in store is 15% per second instead of 20. So these are 3 buffs to Camilla that all make a big difference in my opinion. I think she was one of the weaker ones to play as, so this should give us a reason to try her again. Also, for you achievement junkies out there, there are 3 new achievements. We've got Open Sesame, which is to collect 5 or more keys in a single run. We have Socialization, which is to interact with 6 or more refugees in a single run. And we have the Thirst of Power, which is to use 6 or more sacrificial idols in a single run. So if you're one of those trophy hunters out there, look out for these 3. There has been a change as well to the Cleansing of Reverie, which used to be that you had to complete 4 tumors during one run. However, now you can only get 3 tumors, so it's 3 per run. I suppose I should also mention that they have done the Unleashed skin pack. This is just simply a skin cosmetic upgrade that you can buy for £3.39, which gives a skin for the Pied Piper, Beowulf, the Snow Queen, Sun Wukong, and Carmilla. Lastly, they've done a whole bunch of bug fixes, including achievement tracking. So again, for you trophy hunters, some of the achievements weren't tracking properly, and we even had mini-boss barriers not coming down. So these bug fixes are going to make a bit of a difference, but I'm not going to go through all of these as there's going to be quite a long list. So that's it, the key things to look out for in this patch. It's worth noting their next big update will actually give us 2 new characters. So drop down in the comments what you think those characters will be. I find it interesting that they've mentioned 2 new characters and the imagery kind of suggests that they're somewhat linked. Maybe a Hansel and Gretel as an example. But give me your take in the comments, please. But that's it for Nightmares Unleashed. Please drop a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. It will help me greatly. Let me know how you're getting on in Reverie. I've been JammyGiraffe, sending the positivity as always. Jammy out.